Hey, good afternoon. Welcome to the Masterclass. My name is Daryl Kwawu in for Yalbana 4. Thank you for joining us, everyone, for our agribusiness series. We've been treating so many topics over the past 3 or 4 weeks. Today, we want to put the focus on vegetable farming. Joining me in studio is Emmanuel Twene, who is Chief Executive and founder of QET Organic Farms and Consult, also uh, and Sabet Agriconsult. He joins me in studio for this a series that focuses on the agri sector. We've talked about um, snail farming, we've talked about fish farming. The past 2 weeks, we talked about poultry farming. We want to turn a bit to vegetables, see what's in there and how you can make that a lucrative business. And hopefully, Emmanuel will help us with all of that. I'm in for Yalbana for who will be certainly joining us in the coming weeks. Well, Masterclass is brought to you by Gual Good Energy, Gual Yanaraya, and yeah. And so I just want to tell you a bit more about Emmanuel, who is a professional with expertise in organic farming and agribusiness consulting. As I said, he's founder of and CEO of QET Organic Farms and Consult and Sabet Agriconsult, an organization known for promoting sustainable agriculture, organic agriculture, and eco-friendly farming practices. Emmanuel's work emphasizes the importance of environmental stewardship, sustainable agricultural techniques, and helping farmers optimize the operations for better productivity and ecological balance. He has, for the past 4 years, trained over 500 individuals in snail, mushroom, and vegetable farming, and this is to contribute to sustainable agriculture. And so, welcome to the masterclass, Emmanuel. Trust you're having a good day.
Thank you.
You having a good day?
Yeah, you're managing.
You're managing. All right. So, talk to us a bit more about what you do, your business, who you are. I'm sure our listeners would love to know.
All right. So, Cat Organic Farms and Consult, or Kiwiti Organic Farms and Consult, it's an agribusiness firm, like you mentioned, that is focused on sustainability, that's focused on doing business the right way. We always tell people, yeah, we are farming, but then we're not just farming, we are doing business. And so we want to ensure that ourselves and all other clients or other people who get in touch with us are doing business with their farming activities or with their agribusinesses. Yeah, so that's what we've been up to for the past 4 or 5 years, and we're still counting.
Okay, so how did you enter into vegetable farming?
Okay, so after my first degree, I happened to do my national service with a farm setup which was involved in vegetable production. And so I entering into it, I didn't really have a lot of ideas about it. I was a bit naive about the whole agri sector, but then I took the opportunity to learn whilst with the organization, and then I realized there are a lot of potentials in agriculture, agribusiness, vegetable production, and all other subsidiaries within the agribusiness space. And so I took the time to learn about some of the stuff that we were doing there. Because I didn't have any background in that, I had to do a lot of learning, a lot of reading, to be able to understand what happens on the farm, to be able to better manage the workers that were on that farm. And so that's where the whole interest developed. And then over the period, we were looking at how we could add other things to it, how we could, broaden our scope to be able to absorb the numerous opportunities that it brings to us.
Okay, how would you describe vegetable farming in Ghana? I mean, how has it evolved over time?
Yeah, I think vegetable farming in Ghana is still an area that is still growing, both vegetable and then fruit. When you look at the potential it has, and then when you look at the demand, you look at the market dynamics, you realize that it's still an area that needs a lot of investment. It's still an area that needs a lot of attention. It's an area that needs a lot of elite people to get into, because the world is changing at a very fast pace, and so we can be doing business as usual, and we can be doing farming as usual, like we know our grandparents used to do it. And so with the increasing population and all that, I think there is much more that needs to be done in the vegetable space to be able to accommodate and then feed ourselves and possibly even export. People are exporting vegetables from Ghana to UAE, to Europe and other countries. So it means that for us to be able to meet up with that demand, both locally and then internationally, it means we need to do a lot of work. We need to put in a lot of energy, and then we need to put in a lot of research as well.
All right. I mean, aside from the fact that it is a profitable business, a lucrative business, which we'll talk about
Sure.
very soon, why is it important for us as a country to invest in growing vegetables?
Okay, so not to take you too far, I think a couple of months ago, we all heard about the prices of some of the commodities on the market, where we were selling tomatoes, a piece of tomatoes for 5 cedis and all that, where we were selling pieces of pepper for 5 cedis and 10 cedis, where we were selling fingers of okra for 5 cedis, 10 cedis, and all that. And when you compare the prices to our financial standings as a country and as a people, you realize that the prices were overwhelmingly expensive.
Right.
And this goes back to the investments that we do not have into this sector. The reason being that farmers at the moment, most farmers at the moment rely on the rain-fed agriculture, and so this means that during periods when there's a high demand of these vegetables, farmers are unable to produce, and so definitely prices would go up. We do, as the economics will say, economy of supply, so demand and supply. So the demand keeps increasing, restaurants keeps sprouting up, hotels keeps increasing, expanding, and then adding more menu to the already existing menus and all that. And all these are falling on farmers to be able to produce to meet the demand coming from these people. On the other hand, are the exporters, people who are also exporting vegetables to other countries. And so it means that we need to be able to produce more in order to be able to absorb the pressure on the current sector, and then we need to be able to produce more to be able to meet the export demands.
Yeah, like one of the things that beats me is why, for instance, right now we have to import tomatoes from Burkina Faso, when we can grow them here. I hear it's of another quality. I don't know what it is, but then if that's the case, don't we have technology to sort of grow that kind of tomatoes here in Ghana? It's a question I'll ask you later on. But let's start. Where do you start from when it comes to vegetable farming?
Okay, so doing vegetables for business, I always, like I mentioned from the beginning, I always tell people it's not just about farming, but it's about doing a business. So doing vegetable farming as a business, one, you need to look at the market. You need to look at how close you are to the market. You need to look at the time in the seasons, which is very critical in doing vegetables. You also need to look at even the road network to the location of your farm. There have been instances where people could grow, they have bumper harvest, but the road network from where their farms are to the market center is horrible, and so they're unable to transport these vegetables to the market centers to even sell. And so you need to put into perspective all these things. And then one critical thing is to also look at the irrigation system. Doing vegetables in this current dispensation where climate change is on the rise, and then doing it to depend on the rain is it's a no-no. I would always tell people that if you do not have the resources to invest into irrigation, then don't even think about doing vegetables, because the rainfall pattern can make you lose all your investment within a snap of a finger. Yeah, so for you to be able to do vegetables and do it properly, you need to look at all these factors, and also look at labor, which is one of the key areas at the moment affecting the agri sector. Getting the right labor, getting people who are ready to grow with you, getting people who are ready to be on the farm with you is also another thing that you really need to look out for. So you don't just jump into doing vegetables, but you need to look at all these factors before even starting, so that you don't start invest into it and then you realize that there is more, that you jumped certain steps that you have to come back, and that will cost you a lot of money.
All right. So let's make this easy on our audience. What is step number one?
Okay.
If you want to venture into vegetable farming, what should the first consideration?
Okay. the first consideration should be the season in
The
which
season.
you are. Then you look at the land acquisition, where you're looking at starting your farm from or doing your farm. Then you look at the closeness to a water body or a water source. Then you look at the market. Then you look at the labor. So first, get to know the season in which you are. For instance, we are in the season where from now till April, May, prices of vegetables are going to go up and up. The reason being that we have just a few farmers who are going to be able to irrigate their farms to produce vegetables, and so that automatically will shrink the system. Also, we are going to a season where there is going to be a need for a lot of vegetables. We are entering into Christmas, we are entering into New Year, and so there's going to be high demand for vegetables during these periods. And so to do vegetables, this is the right season for you either to start, or maybe you started about 2 or 3 weeks before, so that by now your nursery is already ready, or you start from now to be able to hit and then target the Christmas or the New Year, and then the New Year, the new month in the New Year. Yeah. So getting that, studying the season is very key, and then now after that you look at the land acquisition, and then even how close you are to a water body.
Okay, and so depending on the season, which kind of vegetable would you suggest? Maybe during the season, I think it's more lucrative to go tomatoes, pepper. I mean, something of this sort.
Okay. So during this season, I always tell people that there are some types of vegetables that are consumed in almost every household. For instance, pepper is consumed in almost every household. Tomatoes is consumed in almost every household. And so it means that if you're doing tomatoes, either tomatoes or pepper during this period or any other season, it means you're going to be able to sell. Now let's take vegetables like let's say cucumber, which not everybody consumes. When you take vegetables like cabbage, not everybody consumes on a regular basis. Even though people want it, but it's not really a need. Without cabbage, people can still go ahead and prepare their stews. But people cannot prepare their stews without pepper, no tomatoes, no onion. And so these are vegetables that they are strategic. Like anytime that you do them, you are at a good point, or you are in a good position to be able to sell and recoup your investment, make about 200% ROI on your investment.
Okay.
But then looking at this season where we are at the moment, every vegetable that you do has a very good, will give a very good returns, considering the fact that we are entering, like I said, into the seasons, Christmas and all that, where there's going to be a high demand for these almost every vegetables on the market, and also considering the fact that a lot of farmers at the moment wouldn't be able to farm because there's no access to either water or there's no access to irrigation. And so, like I said earlier, it's going to shrink the system. So now from cabbage, lettuce, cucumber, tomatoes, onion, pepper, all other vegetables will do very well, or you can make a good returns on investment when you do them during this period.
Yeah, but the regulars are what? Tomatoes,
peppers, onions.
Yeah. Why do we import onions? Because I see so many of these guys, our friends from Niger, is it Chad?
Yeah.
Don't we grow onions in Ghana? What's
the challenge? Yeah. In fact, we have very good soils in Ghana that is able to produce a lot of onions, carrots. Soils that are loose, that are loose in nature, more like a sandy soil, are able to support the growth of onions. What's the name? Carrots, beetroot. Vegetables that are more like a root tuber. They grow they go deeper into the soil and then form in the soil. So they like soils that are more loose, and we have a couple of lands like that around us, especially closer to water bodies. I think one of the reasons why we import is onion, for instance, is a water loving crop. And so if you are farming an area where there's no water source, you can't do onions. And then also we are not able to grow enough to feed ourselves. So there are just a few farmers in the system, and each one has the market that they're targeting. So there are people who are farming just pepper, people who are farming just onion, people who are just farming tomatoes for a targeted market. So it's up to us to one, educate people on the prospect, and then also get a lot of people into the agri sector, because as it stands right now, just a few people are doing it, and so it means that always there's going to be the demand is always going to supersede the supply that we have. So we have arable lands that we can grow onions, only that we do not have the right investments, and then just a few people are operating within that system.
All right, and so if you decide that you're going to do vegetable farming, like you've been telling us, you have to consider the season you are in, and then I think land acquisition is the next thing. So depending on where you live, it would also determine what sort of vegetable you should venture into. And so, again, for the occasion of our audience, if I'm in a very waterlogged area, what vegetables would you advise? If I was in a place where it's pretty dry, what would you advise?
Yes, so when you're in a waterlogged area, there are some crops that will be able to do very well, but you move a bit away from the waterlogged area. So in a deep waterlogged area, then I would advise you go into rice farming and not vegetables. Now, almost all the vegetables that we grow need some amount of water, but not too much. In excess of it would cause a lot of harm to the vegetables that you're growing. For instance, if you're doing onions in a very waterlogged area, what will happen is that as the bulb starts to form, it starts to get rotten.
Okay.
In as much as it's a water-loving crop, it doesn't want it in excess of it. And so any vegetable that you grow, if you are doing pepper in a waterlogged area, what will happen is that it will absorb more than it needs, and then the leaves will start withering. So if you see a plant watering, there are two things. It's either it's not getting enough water, or it's getting too much water.
Okay.
Yeah, so you don't farm in a waterlogged area, but you move a bit away from the waterlogged area, unless of course you're doing rice, then you can do in a waterlogged area. So you move a bit away from the waterlogged area, so that then you can grow your crops, the kind of crops that you want to do. If you live in a very dried area, let's say you live in the savanna areas, these are people who are able to produce a lot of vegetables for us down here in Accra. They produce a lot of tomatoes, pepper, and all that. The reason is that, like I mentioned, if you have access to water, then you can do it, because all these crops do not really need a lot of the water. Too much of it is a problem. Less of it is also a problem. And so you need to be in a place and in a position where you are able to moderate the water levels that you give to the crops. So if you have access to an irrigation system, then you'll be able to regulate. Okay, today I think I need to do one watering. Maybe I'll do once every 2 days. I'll do once every 3 days, depending on how the crops are doing. But then if you do not have access to it, then you are left to your own fate, like it's happening in the north, where the drought is affecting the maize farms and all that.
Yeah, we've seen stories about that, and it's pretty devastating for these farmers. And so how much land do you need to start, for instance?
Okay.
And then how much money do you need to start?
Okay, so I always say that starting an agribusiness or starting a farm depends greatly on you yourself, how much you have to start. If you are starting, let's say you're in Accra, you want to start a farm, first start from your backyard. Do you have a small backyard garden to be able to understand how these crops grow? The reason I give, or the reason I say that, is because you need to be able to understand what you're doing, so that when you employ people to do it, you'll be able to do proper monitoring. And so you start from your backyard, and that it depends on, like I said again, even the number of people you want to feed with, what you're doing in your backyard. So let's say you want to start from your backyard. I know seed input dealers who produce a nursery already in 128 trays. So it means once you buy one tray, you have 128 seedlings in that tray. And so it means that one tray is also giving you 128 plants of vegetables. So if you want to do pepper or tomatoes, you want them to mix them for you, maybe 20 in that order. it means that at the end of the day, you're going to have 128 plants at your backyard. Now, that is going for, I think, 55 cedis for that 128.
The backyard.
For the for the pack, for the tray.
Okay.
With the seedlings, it's 55 cedis. Now, let's say you have some flower pots in the backyard, or you want to use bucket containers to farm. Let's say you're buying one for 10 cedis. So if you're buying 128 of that, it means you're spending how much, 1,280 to get the 128 buckets for your backyard. So in addition to the 55, you're looking at somewhere 1,320 or something. And then that's it for now. In your backyard, you have access to your pipe water from your home that you can be using to water. Now, if you're doing an acre of vegetables, we're far from you. And at the moment, Interplast, for instance, has an irrigation pack for an acre, which they're doing for 8,800 for an acre. So it means the first thing you need to consider is getting the irrigation kit for the 1 acre land, and then let's say you rent the place for 500 cedis for a year. You buy a seed. If you're buying, let's say you're growing tomatoes, 1,000 plants will be 1,000 seeds will be able to occupy an acre of your farm. And so that at the moment, some seed input sellers are selling for between 350 to 700 cedis for 1,000 cedis for a 1,000 piece pack, 1,000 seeds pack. So you buy, let's say, 350 cedis or 500 cedis for of the seeds, and then the next thing for you to do is to get the labor on site. At the moment, the average salary range for a labor on the farm is between 750 to 1,200. So depending on the amenities you have on the farm or on the location, that will tell how much you're paying your staff. So it means that at the end of the day, the operational cost itself wouldn't exceed 2,500 to 3,000 to start an acre of vegetable farm.
That's a startup.
That's a startup. Yes.
2,500.
Yes. However, if you're doing the irrigation, and so that's where the irrigation, the cost for irrigation comes in again. If you're doing an irrigation, it means that you need to get that 8,800 cedis pack for an acre. So which is shooting your cost to around 11,000 or 12,000 to be able to do an acre. And that is where most farmers are not able to afford that, because if I'm a startup, I'm a young guy trying to start a farm, maybe I have the 2,500 to start a farm, but I can't fall on the rainfall to give me. I can't be at the midst of the rainfall, and so I need to do irrigation. Now, doing just an acre of an irrigation, it's costing me 8,000 plus. How would I raise that funds to do the farm? And so that's when we need the support for young people to be able to go into farming. So it's not just about the starting capital, but it's about the other things that you need to make the farm successful.
How easily accessible are seeds for the farm?
Seeds, now there are a lot of seed sellers, both online and offline, in shops that you can easily get seed anytime, anywhere that you want. 24/7 throughout the year, you can always have access to seeds.
I mean, are they affordable?
They are, depending on the type of crop. So if you're doing, let's say, lettuce, which a whole pack is not even up to 120 cedis, and that can do an acre. But if you're doing tomatoes, to do an acre, you need about 100 grams of seed, which you wouldn't buy for anything less than 1,000 cedis to do an acre. So it depends on the crop that you're doing, and then also the variety. All these seed sellers have different varieties that they bring. Some are disease resistant, some are climate resistant, some are water, like drought resistant and all that. So depending on the type of seed you are getting, that would also inform the prices of this seed.
Yeah, and it's not just about getting the seeds, but getting quality seeds.
Exactly.
So where do you get quality seeds from?
Okay, so
and where should you not get your seeds from?
Okay, yes. So I would advise for you to do a business. Don't buy your seed from the open market. Now, almost all the seeds that we have on the market at the moment are all they are I've forgotten the term that they use, but they've been worked on. Okay, so there are no seeds that when you take out, when there are no fruit that when you take out the seed to replant, they will do well. Unless, of course, you're doing a backyard garden where you do not really care about the yield. What you care about getting the 2 or 3 pieces to for your kitchen. But if you're really doing business, they don't go to the market to buy seed that has already been taken from a first or second generation fruit or crop to go and plant on your farm. You wouldn't get any proper yield. So always we advise that you get the first generation, that is the improved seed already. So you get the first generation from the shop to nurse and then transplant, rather than going to the open market to buy. When you go to the open market, you see in some of the some people extracting seed and then selling in milk tins and things like that. But those seeds, yes, you can get some yield, but they can't be disease resistant. They can't also give you the returns that you're supposed to make from, let's say, doing an acre of that type of vegetables.
All right, that's interesting. You are listening to the Masterclass here on Joy 99.7 FM. We are having an interesting conversation on vegetable farming. In studio with me is Emmanuel Twene, who is the CEO of QET Organic Farms and Consult and Sabet Agriconsult. He's taking us through the masterclass. We've learned so many things this afternoon. But if you're listening and you have any questions, you want to enter into vegetable farming, or you already are in it and you have some issues, I bet he has some answers for you. You can get in touch on WhatsApp. Send us your questions. 055 1111997 055 1111997. Also, we're open to receive your phone calls as well. 0302 216 541 0302 216 541. That's after we take a short break. When we come back, we're going to be talking a little bit more about vegetable farming. People think of it as pretty easy. I want to find out from you after the break, Emmanuel, what sort of training you should have before you venture into vegetable farming. Stay with us here on Joy 99.7 FM.
Your favorite on-air business development program, Joy Business Masterclass, is in session, and you can interact with us on Facebook via the Joy 99.7 FM or Joy Business pages. If you tweet, the handle is at Joy 997 FM or at Joy Business GH. Don't forget to hashtag JB Masterclass. You can also call us on 0302 216541 or send your questions and contributions through to the WhatsApp number 0551 111997, and our facilitators will address your concerns. Attention everyone, class is in progress.
Alright, you're on Joy 99.7 FM. My name is Daryl Kwawu. You're listening to the Masterclass, our agribusiness series this afternoon on vegetable farming. It's been pretty insightful. The Masterclass is brought to you by Gwell Good Energy. Gwell Good Energy brings you Gwell Super XP, the ideal choice for most vehicles. It is flowing at many Gwell stations in the country. Just go fuel up your vehicle and enjoy the smooth ride with all the benefits. Gwell Super XP is quality and gives you the correct choice when buying regular fuel. Gwell Super XP is fortified with a special additive that gives longevity to your engine, makes your engine perform to the max using minimal fuel, and it is suitable for most vehicles. As you journey the road, look out for Gwell stations with the Gwell Super XP sign and go fuel up your vehicle. Gwell Super XP, Ufilia, Ubefili, Gwell Good Energy Yana Yendia. And so as I mentioned, we are going to continue the conversation. Is in 2 parts, so Emmanuel will be coming back next week to continue with the conversation on vegetable farming. We've been learning a lot about, what should be your consideration before entering the vegetable business, what to look out for in terms of seed quality, land acquisition, and we're going to also talk a bit more about training, because like I pointed out before the break, people sort of think that it is an easy something to do, just plant the seeds and then the vegetables grow. And so what kind of training should you undergo? And so the WhatsApp line this afternoon is 05511 11997 05511 11997. If you have any questions, our studio line, just in case you want to call us, 0302-216-541, 0302-216-541. I want to do a bit of the messages before we come back to the discussion. And so, yeah. All right. This one from Asari, who is listening from Asuchari, he says, I do Oko, and for the past 2 years, we noticed the presence of white flies that suck water from the Oko plants. What insecticide can be used to control them, please? We were using leopard, but our farms were totally destroyed last season. Not even one Oko was harvested. Please help. Sorry about your loss. Yeah. Do you have any help for him?
Yeah, so these are some of the issues when it comes to vegetable production. But for us to be able to give him or recommend a pesticide for him, for us, we advocate for organic. We advocate for sustainable, means of doing agriculture. And so we want to find out what has been the history of the place, what crops has he been doing. Is it that he's been doing okra and after that okra and after that okra, or what type of what family of plants has he been doing? Then we can probably give him some suggestions for him to apply.
Yeah, but he talks about the presence of white flies when he started the Oko farm, I think, and he said he was using an insecticide called leopard, but that destroyed his farm totally. I'm sure next week we'll touch on the diseases and how to handle them. But I mean, what sort of advice would you give him in this situation? Because what it appears that he's lost virtually everything. That's a lot of money gone, right? Number one, on top of my mind, what could have possibly caused the flies to come onto the farm?
Okay.
And then how should he have gone about it?
Okay. So pests on a farm basically come as a result of they're also living things living in the area where we are farming, and so they're also looking for food to feed on. And before you farm, their presence were there before you went in, cleared an area, and then decided to plant a crop there. And so there are certain factors that if you don't put in place, these pests will come back and attack whatever crop that you do. And I know that Australia areas is known for crops like mango and mango, pawpaw, and stuff like that. These are host cassava. These are hosts for whiteflies. And so if you're farming around an area where a host of a particular pest is, it means that once yours is available, they'll jump onto it. And so that's why it's very important that even when farming, you kind of create a good rapport between yourself and other farmers closer to you, so that you don't know, maybe when the mango farmer goes to spray his mango farm of whiteflies insecticide, they will jump onto yours, because then they need to also survive. So if where they are currently being hosted, if they are sucking them away from there, then yours is the next available one for them to land on. And so, like I said, there are a lot of factors that we need to put into consideration even before you're able to advise on what type of pesticide they are to go in for.
Okay.
And,
I don't know who advised him to use a leopard, but what do you know about leopard? Was that the right approach to dealing with it? I mean, if I noticed that there were flies on my farm, what should be the first thing I do?
In fact, one good thing is white flies are insects that you don't need so much energy to control. Just irrigation, shower irrigation can clear all of them.
Shower irrigation. What's that?
The shower irrigation is more like a rainfall. So it has this irrigation tubes that it throws the water up and it falls on the leaves. And then also, I wouldn't want to talk ill of somebody's product, but then the mode of application is also key when applying some of these pesticides on your crop, because they are mostly active at dawn and later in the evening.
Okay.
And so you don't go spraying your crops in the afternoon what is happens in most cases by most farmers, because by the time they get the labor to go and do it, it's already the sun is already up when they are not feeding.
Right.
And these pesticides also has the period within which they are very effective.
Right.
And so by the time the sun shines, all the chemical that you sprayed would have evaporated, and then they come back in the evening when the potency of the chemical you sprayed is no more.
Right. And so, I mean, what you also advise that first he should have tried shower irrigation. I
Yes.
don't know whether he tried it, and that would have really gotten
So
the
maybe
white
when we know the
flies.
type of irrigation that he uses,
Yeah.
then we can also.
And so now he says that he's totally lost everything for the
Yeah.
last season. And for anybody who's made losses, when they want to do it again, they're a bit skeptical.
Yeah.
So what do you advise what he does if he wants to start all over again?
Okay, so he should first find out about the history of the place. He should monitor the type of crops that they have in the area. If possible, he should be able to communicate with people around the area who are doing similar thing, or who has farms. He should find out from them what kind of protocol they are using.
Mhm.
Because if, let's say, you are using leopard, maybe the other person is using neem oil.
Okay.
The other person, your other neighbor, is also probably using some other chemical. If the potency of the neem oil is more than the leopard, it means that when he sprays the neem oil, they'll move from his farm and come to your farm.
Right.
And so you should be able to have that conversation with people around him and be able to know what type of protocols they're using. So that if you know that if you're all using neem oil, then we're all using neem oil. At the end of the day, we'll be able to clear off that pest from our area, rather than you doing neem oil, the other person doing leopard, the other person doing other thing, and then at the end of the day, you are not able to get the potency, or you're not able to properly take care of the pest that's affecting your crop.
Okay. So, Asari, I hope this was helpful, and all the best as you try to start again. Hopefully, you've learned a few things that could help you recover from terrible loss. Like I think one of the things that you point out is also to have a good rapport with other farmers in the area, so that you're able to detect this is affecting this farmer, so I should be careful and do all of that. All right. This other one says, "Good afternoon, Masterclass. Please, I'd like to ask, now that our rivers in the other regions are all being polluted with heavy metals, which are harmful to our health and will take years to leave the water bodies, what is our guest, together with all the agriculturists and farmers, doing to mitigate the situation on our hands as a nation?" This from Grace, who's listening from a lot, and that has been a topical issue. I mean, we've been talking about galamsey a lot over the past few weeks, and its impact on our water bodies and on our plants, right? How serious is this, or how crucial is this for the quality of vegetables that we are producing, really?
In fact, it has a huge impact on the vegetables that we are producing. When these metals are found in water bodies, it means that when we irrigate them on the farms, or when we spray them on our farms, it's going to have an effect on the crops that we are producing. The crops consume the water we give them, and so it means that we are going to have traces of these heavy metals in the crops that we are producing. The other thing is that some of these metals, especially when it has sodium in it, in the long run has an effect on the machines you're using to irrigate, on the pumping machine you're using to pump the water from the source, the irrigation lines, and even the crop itself. So at the end of the day, you realize that your crop will be, it looks healthy today. The next moment, all the leaves are falling off. It's a serious issue that
you're hearing such stories from farmers.
Yes. In fact, I've seen one in Swedru where there is a water body, and then we understand there's a galamsey being done up somewhere, and so before that farm was started, the water was very clear that even people were drinking from that water nearby communities. Now it's so muddy that you can't use it for anything, and that's the only source of water. And so the ripple effect is that the farmer cannot also bear the cost of losing their investment on the farm. So at the end of the day, they'll still use that same water, irrigate it, and then the effect keeps expanding. So yes, It's a serious issue that has to be dealt with.
Well,
The
well,
galamsey issue is not just
yeah,
about the
Grace
gold.
is asking what farmers and agriculturists like you are doing about it. But I'm just wondering, what can you do about it if you're in an area that is really polluted by these heavy metals?
At the moment, maybe the best bet would be for farmers to sink boreholes on their farms to be able to get access to clean water for the farms, and that also do not come cheaply for farmers to be able to invest into such heavy stuff like that. And so we are all in a dilemma, because at the end of the day, it's not just about the farm, but farmers are also losing their investments as a result of some of these galamsey issues. And so we are hoping that something positive is done about it. But in the meantime, what farmers I've seen some farmers do is that they're digging boreholes on their farms to be able to help. So
that's extra cost.
Extra cost, yes, extra cost to help support with their production.
All right, time is really flying. I don't know if you can do any more messages, but I hope that this has really answered your question, Grace. I mean, the farmers are really having to deal with losses. I don't think that. Okay, somebody says this from Kwesi, who is listening from OEB, says, I have a rooftop. Can I use my spoiled car tires, put soils in it, and then grow my vegetables up on the rooftop?
Oh yes, he can.
That's some innovation there.
Very innovative. He can. Only that he should look at the type of crops that he want to do. So you don't go doing a deep-rooted crops in containers like that, in ties. The amount of soil you can pick is very less. So you don't go planting crops like pepper, which has a taproot in it. But you can do like cabbage, you can do your lettuce, you can do your cucumber in crops in setups like that.
Okay, that's an answer for you. And next week we are going to talk about greenhouse technology, which is making vegetable farming easy. So this one says, great program, guys, thumbs up. The gentleman spoke about GMO seeds. Can we have cleaner seeds other than GMO? That's from Nat, who is listening from Adenta.
I think I didn't mention about GMO.
Well, I think that you talked about the seeds and the quality of seeds. Or he wants to find out, because in these days when we talk about GMOs, he probably is wondering if you can get cleaner seeds other than GMOs. Okay,
so yesterday, for instance, I posted some pictures on my WhatsApp status. I posted a picture of 2 different varieties of tomatoes, where one is the traditional Ghanaian type of tomatoes, and then the other is the one that has been worked on. I've forgotten the term for it. And you realize that people were asking between the two. A little research, or when we cast our minds back, we realize that there were times when there are some tomatoes that when you mash or when you grind, the aroma alone, the flavor it gives, and then the reddish color you can see is very very natural. But then some of the tomatoes we have these days are not like that, and it all comes down to the market demands, what the market is demanding for. The traditional ones, once you keep them, they don't stay for that long, they go bad. But for businesses, they want to be able to grow crops they want to be able to grow tomatoes that can be on the shelf for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks without it going bad. So yes, we can have cleaner seeds, but at the moment we are losing everything. We are losing all our traditional seeds.
Oh boy!
And so we need to.
Yeah. All right. Good afternoon, Masterclass. My question is, which is the most appropriate way of irrigation? Is it by transporting water into your farm, a borehole, or digging of a well? Ajiman Joseph, who is listening from Committee 9 Tema, also called Ajingo the Man. What's your answer to that?
Okay, so it all depends on the investment you have to invest into it. Ideally, I would always go for tapping from a running water.
Okay.
Which you can have it 24/7 all year round, because that reduces your cost. But if you're to take a borehole, it's an extra cost on you. If you are to do the others, but the most cost efficient one is to do the one with to tap from effluent
Tap from
water.
flowing water, which is that is cost effective.
Yes, that's cost effective.
Okay, I think as Sari came back to us, he says he does only Oko and is irrigator. He spent about 7,000 cedis, I believe, talking about water for me. For me, tubes as a type of irrigation. I'm sowing maize now because I'm afraid to do it again. What do you have to say to that?
Yeah, I think he still shouldn't overlook the history of the place, because
don't overlook the history of the place.
Yes, the maize also has its own issues with what's the name? A lot of pests that it also comes along with. So he shouldn't overlook the history of the place. He should still find out from other farmers in the area and the protocols they're using for their farming activities, and that would greatly goes a very long way to help him.
All right. It looks like a lot of people are interested in this. That's why we are coming back with this conversation next week. There's a lot more to cover on vegetable farming. I want to thank you, Emmanuel Twene, who is the CEO and founder of QET Organic Farms and Consult, also Sabet Agriconsult. I want you to put your number out there because I bet people have so many questions. Maybe they need some consultation. How can they reach you?
Okay, so you can reach us on 0554 121 998, 0554 121 998, or 053 046 1827.
Okay, say that again.
053 046 1827. You can check us on Facebook, QET Organic Farms and Consult. We're on TikTok, we're on Instagram, QET_food. And then we put some of these contents on there, so you can always follow and then learn and then better your agribusiness journey.
All right, Emmanuel Twene, he is Chief Executive Founder of QET Organic Farms and Consult, also Sabet Agriconsult. Thank you so much. We'll see you next week right here in the studio for the second part of our conversation on vegetable farming as part of our agribusiness series on the Masterclass. My name is Daryl Kwawu. Thanks for listening. One of you texted us, wanted to have the number of Perfect Amongst Rest. I believe that you've been sorted out. He was here last week to talk about poultry farming, and so great stuff. Ignition is continuing. I just want to say a big shout out to my brother Desmond Kwawu, who is listening all the way from the US. Akofa, you'd have to play a song for him, you see. You have to play a song for him for me. And so that said, I will be back next week with some more masterclass. Do stay tuned. Ignition continues with Akofa. Don't go anywhere.
Joy 99.7 FM.
Get ready to innovate, cultivate,